This presentation, titled How Online Products Enable Easier Handling of ISO Projects, comes to us from Carlos Pereira da Cruz. Carlos has 30 years of experience helping various organizations, including industrial, healthcare, and service companies, in the implementation of management systems. His main concern has been incorporating a business point of view with a strong focus on results when implementing or reviewing management systems. He has a master's degree in chemical engineering and postgraduate work on quality engineering from SQL. And with that, take it away, Carlos.
Thank you, Mike. Let's do this presentation about how online products enable easier handling of ISO projects. Well, we were already using online products here and there, but not in a systematic way. The coronavirus came and acted as a kind of accelerator of changes that were already underway, but in a very inconsistent way. Another point is that there will be a sticky effect. So the temporary crisis will lead to permanent changes in people's behavior. But after experience a new reality, when the new normal emerges, many organizations and people will not return to the practices of the past. And once tried, cost, convenience, and effectiveness will rule out what will be the mainstream. Online products allow saving time and money with the use of technology. This is our agenda for this presentation. First, we will present what can be seen as the life cycle of an ISO project and what unit activities are done. Then, we will share some examples of online products that can be used to execute each of those unit activities. And we finish with an example of how those different online products can be used together during an ISO project, both during the implementation and during the maintenance and improving phase. Generically, these can be considered the main steps during development and implementation of an ISO project. The project starts, the ISO project team needs to be trained and prepared, and the project plan must be developed and approved together with a monitoring and control mechanism for the project. Then come the working on the project, preparing and approving the outputs of the ISO project. Things like new practices, new procedures, new forms, new indicators. The outputs will not be applied out of thin air. Users have to be trained and made aware of the new in order to be able to implement the new outputs. And once implementation starts, come the need for verifying, for checking, for auditing to realize if the new practices are implemented and work. Within each step in the ISO project life cycle, one may have to perform one or more of these unit activities. So things like sharing files, send messages, plan and control, meet, co-work, schedule, train, and pay. For example, an audit team will have to meet and co-work to prepare an audit. And that can be done online. But to meet and co-work, they will have to schedule the appointment, share files, and send messages. Let's go and see some technological options for doing this. So these are some examples of technological options, online products that can be used to perform each unit activity. To plan, organize, and monitor the project, what needs to be done, by whom, until when, and status, we can use, for example, Asana or Monday. To communicate, collaborate, and notify, taking that away from the email inbox, we can use, for example, Slack, MES Teamwork, and Chanty. To organize, store, and share project files, we can use, for example, Microsoft OneDrive, Google Drive, or Box, or even Dropbox. Other options for meeting, to meet face-to-face sharing screens, chat, and send files. We can use, for example, Skype, Zoom, Teamwork, and GoToMeeting. And about co-working, um, to work collaboratively on real time, you can use WhatsApp, Miro, toolkits, and to control availability and organize schedule, we can use Acuity, Calendly, High Calendar, MS Outlook. And training, training through meeting face-to-face, sharing screens, chat, and send files, or pre-recorded training sessions like an ISO 9001 Foundations course or an internal audit course. We can use, for example, for the first part, Skype, Zoom, MS, Teamwork, GoToMeeting, or we can use online training. And finally, to accept payment, we can use Stripe or PayPal. Now, let us see how those online products are used along the project lifecycle. Let us see how these different online products can be matched along the development of an ISO 9001 implementation project. First, we must prepare and train the project team. We must schedule the training. We must provide the training. And for that, we may need to share some files with the content. We may need to exchange messages before and between sessions. And each training session can be done live, meeting remotely, face-to-face, or we may use customizable documentation to speed up training and future implementation. Of course, training may be done with a pre-recorded online training product. Then, after training and preparing the team, you can schedule and perform a gap analysis. You may need to share files and meet with people to fill in the gap analysis checklist. If you need to do a remote visit to the shop floor, you may want to use a smartphone to walk around and show the facilities or speak with people at their workstations. Now, with the output of the gap analysis, you can elaborate your project plan. You may use a template from a toolkit. You may need to share files and then use a planning and control online product to communicate the project plan. Then you need to approve and communicate the project plan. During the project, you will have several monitoring and control meetings to check progress and make decisions. So you need to schedule each monitoring and control meeting. Then you need to meet remotely. Before that, you will share files and messages with participants. You may need to update the project plan. Now, what happens during implementation? Let us consider, for example, that we want to implement ISO 9001 at the warehouse of a company. We need to schedule the work appointments. We may invest in a sort of flip the classroom tactic, sharing files, sending messages, inviting people to read clauses applicable to the warehouse, to study customizable documents from a toolkit, or even attend particular sessions from an online training course. And if needed, make any face-to-face remote interaction. For each work appointment, you will need an online product to meet, share screen, chat, and co-work. You may need an online product in a smartphone to remotely walk around the warehouse. While designing the project outputs for the warehouse, you will need to share files and messages and eventually use a customizable toolkit. After elaboration comes review and approval of project outputs. After implementation comes the internal audit and the management review. You need to schedule them. For example, for the management review, we may use documents from a toolkit and even invite participants for online training on the topic. You need to collect and treat data to prepare the inputs. So you need to share files and messages and perform the review and report it. And decisions must be communicated. Now let's see, during the implementation phase is one thing, but during the maintenance and improving phase, we can still use online products. So during the maintenance and improving phase, we may still use online products to manage your ISO project. For example, you schedule an internal audit, you share files with the audit team, they have to study the audit criteria, they will share with you the audit plan. Any messaging can be done over a messaging channel devoted to internal audits. When performing the audit team and auditees will meet with an online meeting application that will allow talking, sharing screens, taking pictures. If a smartphone or a tablet is used to visit the shop floor, other applications may be used. And the audit report will be shared and a closing meeting may take place. So, the future is already here. Many of the activities of an ISO project may be delivered online using different applications. We are just not yet familiar with their integrated use on things that we were trained to do in person. Okay. Thank you for your attention, and now I will pass the mic to Michael.
And thank you, Carlos Pereira da Cruz, for those insights into the tools that simplify the handling of ISO projects. And that concludes this presentation.